How do you prepare for a CMP exam since, as we've mentioned before, it's not a physical obvious thing and it is very episodic. There's no guarantee at all you're going to have a headache the day you go in.
But since there's stress calls, you might. But,
True. Deeply unfortunate. True.
But in all seriousness, really a log is probably critically important. And I would, in those situations, try to take a spouse or other family member who can talk about seeing these events and how frequently they occur, and try to get the CMP examiner to speak with that person. They won't always, but we have nothing to lose by trying.
If a veteran's already rated for migraines, is it worth it to pursue headaches, tension headaches, as a separate or secondary claim if they're rated the same way?
It probably won't be. I mean, just the reality of the way the rating system works, it's very unlikely that you get much.
Because it's going to be the same rating code twice.
It's going to be the same rating code, and they won't go in there and all those things. It depends. I mean, you could hypothetically have a situation where migraines are rated very low, and now you've got a diagnosis from your doctor of tension headaches. We've got all this log of headaches and so maybe that would be worth the effort in that case. But,
It seems unlikely.
I wouldn't call that a high probability claim.
Yeah, so basically, it sounds like, one, if they're secondary to the same thing, they're probably going to get lumped in together anyway, right?
Right.
And two, the migraine rating is higher than what the headaches would get you. It wouldn't matter.
Welcome to the Victory Over VA podcast, a podcast about empowering veterans to overcome denied disability claims. Each week, we deliver critical insights to help you understand the disability process, veterans' benefits, and how to take control of your legal rights. Now here's your host, Attorney Francis Jackson.
Welcome to Victory Over VA. If you're a veteran struggling with the VA's disability system, or just want to make sure you're getting the benefits you've earned, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an update that could change your life. I'm Alexandra Jackson, here with renowned veterans disability attorney Francis Jackson of Jackson MacNichol. He has dedicated his career to helping veterans like you win the benefits you deserve, recovering millions of dollars for thousands of heroes. This podcast isn't just for veterans navigating the system. It's for their families, their friends, and anyone else who wants to stand shoulder to shoulder with those who served. So stick around, because we're here to make sure you get the support you need. Today's show is about tension headaches. So let's begin at the beginning. What exactly are tension headaches, and how do they differ from migraines or cluster headaches?
Well, tension headaches are what most of us would think of as an ordinary headache. They can be quite severe, but migraine headaches typically have some neurological base and, have things like photophobia, meaning you
Can't deal with
light, can't deal with sound, things like that. Whereas tension headaches are just kind of the classic headache, but by the time people get around to calling them tension headaches, they're at a very severe level.
So do they get their own rating under the VA system, or do you rate them by analogy to migraines?
You rate them by analogy to migraine.
Okay. So if you were looking at VA's rating schedule, you look for migraines and just basically use those symptom levels.
That's right.
Okay. How common are tension headaches among vets, especially folks with, head trauma, injuries, stress?
Well, when you start getting into those kinds of differentiations, it's really becomes an issue of teasing out which ones are tension headaches and which ones are migraine headaches, because migraine headaches are particularly common in all of those scenarios. But there are also tension headaches. Tension headaches, like all headaches, are not particularly well understood medically, but stress in particular seems to bring it on, and the stress from ongoing anxiety brings them on. So pretty common, unfortunately, among veterans.
So are they common as a secondary condition for things like PTSD, neck issues, TBIs then?
They can be. Again, it becomes a question of teasing them out from migraines because, again, migraines are common from all of those things. But yes, tension headaches, which are headaches which are technically no migraine, may well be arising from any of those.
If a veteran's service treatment records don't contain mentions of headaches, is there still an opportunity for service connection later in life?
Oh, absolutely. You were just making the point that there are a number of conditions that could be service connected that cause tension headaches, so they can be secondarily connected. And that's really the more common. I haven't seen a lot of cases where tension headaches were directly service connected and more commonly secondarily connected based on having some other condition that is causing stress or other problems that in turn bring on the tension headaches.
And you just mentioned that one of the issues is teasing apart whether they're headaches versus migraines. Tension headaches, of course, don't normally cause that sort of prostrating attack, quote unquote, that you'd see in migraines. So how does that impact the rating decision since the code is designed for migraines?
Well, the reality is that tension headaches can cause prostrating episodes, but
Just not photophobic ones?
just not photophobic. We don't have the same sensitivity to sound, but most people can't function well with a terrible headache. That's reality. It's not well. People with terrible nausea, it's overwhelming. They can't function. So you can have prostrating tension headaches. It's just that they're not as common as prostrating migraine headaches. You don't see as many that get to a 50% rating, for example. But, a lot of folks have pretty severe tension headaches.
I always make fun of those people in Victorian novels who are laid out in bed with a headache. And then I remembered they did not have ibuprofen. And I feel a little differently about it at that point.
There is that.
It's kind of what it feels like here.
No ibuprofen, no Advil, no
Sudafed or Dayquil to
naproxen,
prop you
Yeah.
up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Could tension headaches contribute to a TDIU claim if they interfere that significantly with concentration and presumably also work performance if you've got a raging headache?
Well, they can contribute to the rating for a TBI claim. I mean,
TDIU. Sorry.
sorry, yes, TDIU. Yes, certainly, in the same way that migraines can contribute to a TDIU claim. If you have frequent headaches that are so severe that you can't function, you're not going to do well in a work setting, and TDIU may be a possibility.
What kinds of medical evidence are most persuasive in proving the impact of tension headaches? Should veterans have like a log or a journal?
You definitely want a log or a journal. You probably also want indications that you've been to the doctor complaining about headaches. You have tried all the usual, aspirin, and Tylenol, or ibuprofen, or Morphicin, or whatever all else. And we want statements from people around you. Spouses are usually best just because they tend to be kind of around the person more, but other
TDIU, a coworker might work.
coworkers, other family members, close friends, just people who can report that they have seen situations where you are complaining of a headache, you're complaining of an inability to function, you go shut yourself in your room or whatever will. But the more of that evidence that you can provide, the easier it is for a rater to say, okay, I'm convinced this is what's going on, and I'll go ahead and rate it.
And in the modern era, we talked about having a log, but where you can just message your doctor a lot of the time, and that, I believe, ends up in your medical record.
Yep.
That's probably a fairly straightforward way to do it. Say, had another headache today.
Yep, and one of the other things that you can do, I wouldn't want called to do this unless I had to appeal a denial or something, but you could have your spouse take a quick video each time you are immobilized. Unfortunately, VA doesn't deal well with video evidence, so
It may not be quick if it's a frustrating attack.
Yeah, I might not use that except as a last resort, but statements from folks around you certainly would help.
And are there common mistakes that vets make when filing claims for tension headaches?
Sure, all the usual mistakes. Failing to explain what happened in service that could contribute to the current headache, failing to get a diagnosis of tension headaches, failing to get medical evidence that they currently have tension headaches and tying it back to somebody lacking in service. All of those things happen over and over. But tension headaches are particularly problematic because there's no medical test for tension headache. It's not.
Yeah, it's like tinnitus. Although I think they're developing one for tinnitus, aren't they?
They're trying to, but because there's no way for the medical folks to verify that you have tension headaches, it's mostly repetition. You've been to the doctor 27 times in the last 16 months, complaining about the headaches and asking what you can do about them. And they've tried this and they've tried that. And you get statements from the spouse or the children or the parents or whoever the veteran was living with, say, 4 times last week, complained about terrible headache and went and shut himself in his room. It's just building enough of that evidence that the later says, well, okay, this is enough and we can rest.
And so, given that, how do you prepare for a CMP exam? Since, as we've mentioned before, it's not a physical obvious thing and it is very episodic. There's no guarantee at all you're going to have a headache the day you go in.
But since there's stress calls, you might. But,
True. Deeply unfortunate. That's true.
But, in all seriousness, really a log is probably critically important. And I would, in those situations, try to take a spouse or other family member who can talk about seeing these events and how frequently they occur, and try to get the CMP examiner to speak with that person. They won't always, but you have nothing to lose by trying.
If a veteran's already rated for migraines, is it worth it to pursue tension headaches as a separate or secondary claim since they're rated the same way?
It probably won't be. I mean, just the reality of the way the rating system works, it's very unlikely that you get much.
Because it's going to be the same rating code twice.
It's going to be the same rating code, and they won't go in there and all those things. It depends. I mean, you could hypothetically have a situation where the migraines are rated very low, and now you've got a diagnosis from your doctor of tension headaches. We've got all this log of headaches and saying maybe that would be worth the effort in that case, but it
seems unlikely.
I wouldn't call that a high probability claim.
Yeah, so basically it sounds like, one, if they're secondary to the same thing, they're probably going to get lumped in together anyway, right?
Right.
And 2, if the migraine rating is higher than what the headaches would get you, it wouldn't matter.
Exactly.
And are there any particular strategies vets can use to prove the disabling effects of headaches other than the ones we've discussed when medical testing doesn't capture the experience?
No, I think really all you can do is collect evidence from people around you about the frequency and perceived severity of the headaches. Talk about how often it happens, how you behave when you have one of these headaches.
You can journal, they can journal, everybody gets a journal, as Oprah might say.
Pretty much, yep. It's that kind of stuff. It's really just building a volume of cumulative evidence till you get to the point that you convince the VA raters.
Finally, for any veterans who are listening who suffer from chronic tension headaches, who just aren't sure where to begin, what's the best first step towards benefits?
I think the first step is always just file a claim, or at least file an intent to file form. The way the system is built in the VA, benefits only run typically from the date of filing out an intent to file or a claim. You have to file one of those forms to start the clock rolling. And once you do that, you get the claim in, then the VA has an obligation to help you to establish the claim. They will normally give you a CMP exam in almost every case. And if you're unsuccessful in the beginning, you'll get a decision spelling out what it is that they think is missing that you can then go and get. I mean, tension headaches are not easily provable just because of what we were talking about before.
They're subjective.
They're subjective.
Internal.
There's no medical test that the doctor can give to say, oh, yep, this one has tension headaches, this one doesn't. It just doesn't work like that. So I think you file and then you just kind of keep working the claim forward and getting additional evidence.
Okay. Well, thank you all. That's everything we have today about tension headaches, and we appreciate your time.
I hope to see you next week.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Victory Over VA podcast. Make sure to visit our website, veteransbenefits.com/podcast, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Spotify, or via RSS, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. If you like this show, you might want to check out our free consultation to see how we can help you with your denied claim. Simply go to veteransbenefits.com and fill out the form. You fought for us. Now let us fight for you. And be sure to tune in next week for our next episode.